G'day everyone, welcome back to another edition of Guvs Hero Review videos. We are going to be continuing today with our Monster Hunter series. Today looking at the 5-star legendary yellow heroine, Marrow. Sorry, I was just doing magma for some reason. The Skeletal Trophy Collector. So Marrow is available for summons from the Monster Island portal, as we saw there, which comes around once every 8 weeks. The portal itself doesn't have the greatest odds of all time, coming in with a humongous 1.2% chance for an event legendary hero. There are no featured odds, as we see, which means that the specific odds of getting someone that you are targeting does drop off substantially from that 1.2% chance. So putting that into perspective, if you were to do 100 summons, so spend 30,000 gold in this portal, you would have a cumulative probability of having a 70% probability of getting a legendary MI hero. If you were chasing someone specific, you would have only a 13.9% probability of getting that specific legendary hero. So not great odds. Marrow herself, she is a relatively new hero in the game, coming in March 2023 alongside Magma and Torrent. They were released about a year after the OG Monster Island heroes, which came in February 2022. In terms of her artwork, we can see her artwork does have a little bit going on with it. We've sort of got that mushroomy kind of carapace armor. Got a mask on her hip there, which would probably be better suited to being on her face. And she's got this weird sword, club, spiky, bonky, cutty weapon thing, which has teeth that go all the way back to the neck joint. I don't know, a little bit weird, but whatever. That's her artwork. Thank you to Sarge Lopez for passing this along. Yeah, pause it if you wish to continue reviewing. Otherwise, let's head back over and continue looking at her card. So, as I mentioned, she is a member of the Hunter family, which means that Marrow will gain an increase of healing when there are multiple unique family members in the battle. Specifically, she gains plus 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30%, 25% additional healing when there is 2, 3, 4, or 5 unique heroes from the monster family in a battle. Two things to note with this. Number one, I generally am not a big fan of this ability. I don't particularly like the healing, buffing, or debuffing skills, generally speaking. More so in this particular family, when you look at the fact that there aren't any healers in the Monster Hunter family. The only one that comes close is Barbie, who does a heal for damage, but there's really just no synergy between the Monster Island hero family bonus with the actual heroes themselves, which kind of sucks. The other thing to note or emphasize is the use of the word unique in terms of the heroes, so they do have to be different heroes. You can't use 2 copies of Marrow. It's got to be 2 different heroes, like combining Marrow with Brutus or Marrow with Jaguar, for example. The Hunter family members do also gain an additional bonus when they are used in the Monster Island event. Specifically, they gain a 20% chance to apply an attack delay and a 1-turn silence whenever they cast their special skill. They also gain a plus 4, 8, 12, 16, or 20% attack and defense bonus when there are 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 unique Monster Hunter families. So notably, this is only when it's used in the Monster Island event. It doesn't apply at any other point in the game. Marrow's card itself, she comes in with some stats of 672 attack, 790 defense, and 1535 HP. So there is a fair bit of skewing that goes from her attack stat towards that defense stat in particular, which is a little bit of a shame for a damage output, but does work in terms of her armor over time side of things. So it kind of works into her special skill. Her charge speed is 61, which is fast speed and requires 9 tiles to charge. The speed break does only require plus 4, which you can do using any of the speed weapons in the game. So you can use either the plus 7 Triss Vector, or you can use the plus 6 Ragnarok Vantage. You can even use the 3-star gun if you want and combine it with the class emblem node. But otherwise, I probably wouldn't bother with the class emblem node. There's not too much relevancy because yellow is quite lacking in speed guns overall. On the topic of her class, Marrow is a member of the Sentry class, which grants her the chance to armor up and gain 5% armor after receiving any damage. I don't love this perk, but I don't hate it. The damage can come from any source, so minions, tiles, skills, damage over time, whatever. The downsides to it are, though, that it can only proc once in a turn, so it doesn't matter how many instances of damage you take, there will only be one instance of armor generated. The other kind of lackluster thing to the skill is when you compare it to the medic talent, which gives healing to the entire team, as compared to the sentry class, which gives it only to the sentry hero. So still free armor, just not as good as it probably could have been. In terms of an actual emblem path, let's go quickly across to my roster, find a support hero. So I would probably just pump attack stat to just emphasize or improve her overall attack stat and get her damage output increased. You can make just as much of an argument about going for more defense and HP to increase her survival, but for me, I'd probably go the attack path. So what that looks like is we'd going any routes that have an attack. If there's a choice between attack, as we saw here on the second split, I'd go attack and defense generally. So more attack, defense over HP, attack and defense, and then attack and defense to end. I probably would pick up that last 18th node just because it is some additional attack bonus on 19, but yeah, the 20th node, as I said, it is useful to break her, but there are, like, you can speed break her using a 4-star gun, so not hugely relevant, I don't think, anyway. So that's what I'd do in terms of a path. Feel free to pause it if you wish. Yeah, cool. Otherwise, let's carry on with her special skill. So her special skill is titled, when we get there, there it is, Bone Blade Swing, and at level 10 skill and 49 charge speed, it will deal 180% damage to all enemies, clear all fiends from all allies, and generate 68 armor per each fiend that is destroyed. It will then generate a further 342 armor for all allies over 3 turns. So, couple of things to look at there. We'll start with the damage output side of things. So damage is difficult to consistently calculate. Instead, we can calculate their attack power, which is their attack stat multiplied by the percentage in their skill, which is analogous to their overall damage output. So in the case of Marrow, we can see here that her attack power per enemy comes out at 1,210, which is 134 attack power per tile. So number 2 rank on this list of yellow DOA 5 hitters, but it's still not great. It is second best of the yellow hitters, but it is worth pointing out that yellow, generally speaking, has some of the worst DOA 5 hitters in the game. Yeah, there's not a really good DOA 5 yellow hitter. Whipster is the best, but even she would only come in at like number 5 or 6 on some of the other color charts. So not just because she's number 2 doesn't mean that she's a fantastic DOA 5 hitter. It just means that she's one of the better yellow options available. Yeah, the damage can also be quite easily improved when you combine Marrow with 8-bit, who does elemental defense down to all enemies and charges at effectively the same speed of 9 tiles. So there is a little bit of synergy you can get there, but yeah. Moving on from the damage, and we can turn to the armor over time. We'll come back to the Fiend Destruction in a moment. So there are a number of 4 and 5 star yellow healers or pseudo healers, which include minion makers and armor generators. So you can see it on this list here. Marrow comes in at number 3 of those options. So she's coming in with 190 healing per tile, because she does generate 342 armor over 3 turns, and she is pretty fast compared to most of those other yellow healers on that list. So it is armor over time, all right, which means that it can be cleansed away. but in attacking situations, it is fairly easy to control or prevent this, just with timing when you shoot it. The other downside, which is not obvious or not, is that it is not immediate, meaning it does take a number of turns to reach that full 342 armor. It is still a decent amount of healing. Yeah, both Pika variant, Doc Colton, even regular Pika, I'd probably put as better healers. Nima is also a very good healer, so even though Marrow comes in at number 3 on that list, she's not... It's probably an inflation of how good she is as an actual healer. I'd probably, from that list, drop her in around about Sabotage level, so down 2 spots to that number 5, 6 ranking. Switching back over to the second line of her special skill, which is the destruction of fiends from all allies. Now, I will admit that at the time of writing this review, fiends are quite limited in the game, right? The only ones that exist are given by other Monster Island heroes. So the most prevalent ones that I personally have encountered on defense teams are from Accent and Barbie, right? The other Monster Island heroes don't tend to make it to defenses. I've seen a couple of Magmas starting to pop up as well now, but for the most part, there's not many fiends that appear on defense teams. And even those two, Accent and Barbie, they're not hugely common either. They're not what you'd class as being meta defense heroes. So the easiest way I can put this is that I'm not opposed to fiend removal for free. It just doesn't have many uses in the current game environment. All right. Maybe down the track, fiends will become much more commonplace. But as it is right now, at the time of writing this review, there aren't many times when I've actually been in a situation where I'd wished I had a fiend remover. So yeah. Overall, even leaving off the fiend destruction, Marrow is a comparably good hero to other yellow heroes, both in terms of her damage output and also her armor over time. The fiend destruction is currently a bit of a non-factor to me. There's not really any opportunities for it to be effective in battles, and the few situations where fiends do exist, Marrow does have some additional benefit, but she's not, like, the fiend destruction is not going to be any real reason to level her, if that makes sense. So yeah, for Marrow's grading, even though on those lists it does look like she comes out quite good, the problem is that those lists, particularly the damage list, yellow hitters are not great. Those DOA 5 hitters are not good options, which does sort of drop Marrow off a fair bit in her grading. So for her raid and war attacks, I am going to give her a B grade on attack. This is because she does fill both a damage dealer and a healing option. She can be a hybrid hero in your team, allowing you to bring, I don't know, maybe one less. Like, it fills double roles essentially. So there is some benefit to her on an attack situation, even without the fiend destruction. For war machines, though, I am only going to give her a C grade. There's nothing in her skill that gives her any benefit to war machines. For eventing, I'm going to give her a C minus. Same sort of thing. For raid and war defense situations, only a C minus. She's not a great option. She could make it as a hybrid hero at a flank position, but she wouldn't be my first, second, third, or even probably fourth choice personally. Yeah. In the tournament settings, I'm going to give her a C grade for attack and a D grade for defense. She loses the armor over time, and she also loses the armor from fiend destruction as well, so not a very good bloody battle hero. For buff boosters, I'm going to give her a C plus on attack and a C minus on defense. Again, not really contributing anything to buff boosters. And then finally, on charged attack, I'm going to give her a B minus on attack and a C minus on defense, because yeah, there's not really much of a speed improvement going on there. So overall for Marrow's grading, that comes out as being a C plus for her attack grade and a C minus for her defense grade. And that concludes the content that I have for this review of Marrow. As always, these are just my personal opinions on these heroes. I do love hearing your thoughts and feedback on them, so please do jump down to the comment section of the video, leave me a note. I try to read and respond to as many of you as I can. If you did enjoy the video and found it to be useful, feel free to like it, subscribe to the channel and all of that, but most importantly, share the video around, because if this content is useful for you, chances are it's also going to be useful to the people you play with as well. Thank you once again for tuning in and joining me for this review video. I do hope that I will see you again soon, but until then, stay safe, good luck, and happy gaming. Cheers, bye!